Hello and happy new year from the Just Go Watch podcast. We bring you not so much good tidings, but some more horror with Robert Eggers' Nosferatu.
Absolute dog shit.
I don't need
Absolute
I don't
fucking
need.
dog shit.
I do not need to see it to know it's dog shit. Yes. Welcome.
Yeah. Oh,
I have
it's
noticed
New Year.
a
It's
complete lack of
2025.
banter before
Huh.
you hit that thing.
Yeah,
No,
we're
I'm just straight
organised
in
now.
now.
We're an organised
Straight in.
machine now. It's
Listen,
2025. It's season 5.
Season 5,
Don't fucking around.
2025. There's no messing about now. There's no
This is
messing
the
about.
year.
This is the big
This is the
league.
year when our numbers go from being like impressive to astronomical. This is the year
Yeah.
where other podcasts start to tremble in our wake. Like we walk past them and they're just like, please don't. And we're gonna make other podcasts feel like children feel when Hatch walks past the school and kick out time. We're gonna terrify them in 2025. Sorry, I've started early, but it's 2025, boys.
Season 5. We're 1 minute and 15 seconds in, and there is the first.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry. It will never end.
The talent,
Welcome.
the Muad'Dij
Welcome.
has spoken.
Welcome to season 5. This is episode 1, Nosferatu. You've got, of course, Deej, who has been there giving me some shit for almost coming up to 5 years now. And of course, joined by MP, our American compatriot.
Yes.
Um,
I survived longer than the last two co-hosts.
who? I don't even remember who they were. And of course, Had Your Plan coming in your ears live. Not live. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Before we do go on, let's get that mumbo jumbo out of the way, MP.
Yes, whatever you are listening or watching this show on somewhere, there is a follow button. Please hit that follow button or subscribe button so you never miss an episode as we, as the Muad'Dij says, take over the movie review industry. You can also follow us on our social media, Instagram and Twitter at Just Go Watch Pod. Leave us a review on whatever. Let us know. Leave comments. Get in touch with us. You'll hear back from one of us, and we're excited to get into this movie.
So
Yes, we are.
excited.
How was that?
Yes, we
So
are.
excited.
Yes, we are. So,
Although I do have something that
Oh.
I need to say,
Oh.
fellas. I
Oh.
do. After listening to the previous episode, I just want to apologize to the listeners out there. I was embarrassed for the three of you. You Brits and your Southern accents at the beginning of that episode were absolutely horrendous.
No way.
Entire nation, you
Absolutely horrendous.
How the hell-
I was
how the
embarrassed
hell
for
you
you.
gonna
As a
come on
Southern
this
American, I
podcast
felt ashamed. There were people, I was
and say
walking out
that?
in the street the day after, and someone was like, "Hey, aren't you MP from Just Go Watch?" And I hid my head in shame from those Southern accents.
Can I just say one thing? You may not know this yet, but let me just repeat what you just said. And I walked out the next day and they said MP from Just Go Watch Podcast, and I had to hang my head in shame. And that's exactly how you sound.
Right, Governor,
I had a
let's get
gunshot.
spotted tea, you bunch of wankers.
I
Put
had a
another
gunshot
shrimp
in
on the
background
barbie.
as we were talking.
We're not
That's
Australian.
That's
It all
Australian,
sounds the same to us.
Unbelievable.
I just had to get that off my
Unbelievable.
chest. It was a good episode.
All right.
though.
Well, yeah. No. Cheers. And I take it you're now fully caught up with Gavin and Stacey, are you?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Oh,
It's hard to get
that's
over
good.
on this side of the pond.
That's a
Although I will
shame.
say,
That's a
Deej,
shame.
you could have, there were moments maybe in that show you could have ad-libbed something like, "Hey, everybody, let's just go watch something on the TV."
Yeah.
I won't take critique from a man who's not even watched the glory that is Gavin and Stacey. Right? I'm not even listen. Let's just get on with this before we all say things we regret. Right?
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
All right.
Fair enough.
So then moving on into, I mean, that was 2024, man. Leave it in the
Leave it in the
past.
past. I know. I have to let go of the
This
past.
is
That should be my New
this is
Year's resolution.
2025. Although Nosferatu technically came out in 2024 because, yeah, that's when it came out first in the US on Christmas Day. What a random day! Oh, I think who's going to the cinema on Christmas Day? Surely no one.
I don't know. Fucking weirdos, pedos like you that go there. I don't know. Fucking who knows?
Oh, I wouldn't go.
Sorry.
I wouldn't go. I mean, you've just if this was monetized,
Sorry.
you'd be that's us demonetized. Man. So well done.
Yeah,
well done.
listen, the day we're monetized, I'll be nothing but a picture of respectfulness, and I won't say anything inappropriate. But until that day, I will continue to protect the youth of this nation by warning them about you and your nefarious ways.
Oh my god. Anyway, this film Nosferatu, season 25, season 5, 2025. We're now more focused. Less drib drab. Focused. So yeah, this film is actually, I didn't really know what the difference was between all the vampires. I didn't realize that Nosferatu was actually just a rip-off of Dracula.
Yes.
And was basically literally stolen because they wanted to make a vampire thing, couldn't do it. Bram Stoker's family were like, nah, fuck off. And they literally just stole it, tweaked a few things, got sued, were told to destroy it all, but boom, too late. Here it was. And so that's where we're at. Because I was watching this, I recently started listening to Dracula. I got bored at chapter 6, and I was like, "This is really familiar. Why do I recognize this? Like the first bit, because the first part of the movie is really similar." But yeah, so this is Robert Eggers, known for The Lighthouse, Northman, and those kind of edgy, artsy, beautifully shot films. Maybe not always our cup of tea. Am I right? Northman didn't go down too well with us, Deej.
I like Northman.
You liked it, but I think it's fair to say that it wasn't the beautiful Viking gladiator that we were expecting, though.
No, that is true. That is true.
Yeah. I've never seen Lighthouse. I don't know if it would be for me. I have heard it's good.
No, it would not be for you.
No. Listen, I fully accept. I am a Neanderthal when it comes to movies. I like it simple. So with a runtime of 132 minutes, just over that 2-hour mark, with a budget of, what do we think? This is a tough one. When I was looking at this, I was thinking, I wouldn't have a clue.
I'm gonna say 65 million.
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go 35 million.
Oh, it's 50. So you actually both, it's bang in the middle of both of you. So the honors are even.
No, you've got to choose a winner.
Oh,
fuck you. Fuck you.
Round it down.
You walked right into that one.
I've run down. Right. So the box office then. So obviously, like I said, it came out a bit earlier in the US. It came out in the UK on the 1st, so just a couple of days ago. So box office wise, I will ask for domestic purely. So the US, what did it do in the US basically since Christmas Day, or
Ooh.
I'm gonna
I say that because the add-on is negligible, and I don't think
I'm really gonna say fuck all. I really think in the US, this is 16 million.
Right.
So from the day it was released to now, I don't know. My theater was packed. I'm gonna go 30 million.
56.
Damn. Hey, look at there. I got both of them.
Yeah. There you go. Well done.
Where's my praise?
Yeah.
That's
well done. Yeah, I mean, I just do this as a little tidbit, at the start of the show. I don't really care about it.
I would never in my wildest dreams have thought that a movie that came out at this time of year, when people are just, can't be bothered to do shit, it would have made that kind of money. I just would have believed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some big names. It's got some big names in it. We've got Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp. I don't know if she's done much else.
Yeah, but to me, it looked like one of those films.
William Dafoe.
It looked like one of those films that was, like a one for me, one for them, one for me, one for them. And this struck me as the kind of the one for me one, where it's like, they've tried to do something a bit crazy, a little bit of a different take on an old kind of thing and whatever. And like, it's not going to make much money, but they wanted to make it.
Had a lot of hype. It's had a lot of hype though.
Yeah, they did a good job marketing.
This had a really good marketing
And you got a lot of the from what did we watch last year, Long Legs, where it was the best horror
Yeah.
movie ever leading up into
Yeah.
it.
It definitely had that vibe going into it. So let's discuss it. So the plots. I'm skimming down the plots in season 5. We're streamlining the service, so it's gonna be quick.
Oh God! Listen, yeah, you did a good one the other week. Yeah, please get this right, please. I'm begging you now.
I can't hear this from a man who, whenever he does a plot summary, there's always either you've just like got the whole thing wrong in a few times, or you just waffle on for as long as I do, and then MP will just be like, "That's how you do it."
No. Listen. The one time I waffled on as long as you was the fucking that horror film. I can't forget what it's called now. The Devil.
There you go. Look at the inconsistencies.
But that was one time.
Yes,
and you know what?
This film is about some guy. Who...
No. I heard that review, yeah, and I thought to myself, "My God, I've embarrassed myself here." And ever since then, I fixed up and I brought energy and excitement and most importantly, brevity to the table. Whereas you, sir, the last one you did was good, but before that, well, you just dragging us down again and again and again. Now I demand that you give us a brief and energy-filled plot summary now.
Negative.
Begin. In 3,
you're just
2, 1, and
negative. Ellen weeps alone. So our story begins with a young girl who basically ends up having a little roll around with Ugly Orlok, the Count, the ripoff of Count Dracula. We fast forward a few years. She's now married to Thomas, a solicitor and estate agent, who is tasked by his company to go out to this Count to secure him buying a beaten up castle in this town in Germany. He goes out there and meets some nefarious looking people who they're basically not too sure he should be doing this, but he does meet Orlok, who it turns out, shock horror, is a fucking vampire. Thomas is treated badly and basically left for dead, and Orlok is now on the way to Germany to try and meet up with his wife and basically begin his death plague across the land. Thomas races home, teams up with a band of merry men to try and slay him, but not before Ellen gets there first, bangs Orlok, and then makes him stay sucking on her for the sunrise, and eventually he dies.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
It's all right. I'll give that a 6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10.
Here we go. The only thing he'll rate moderately, not any shit films, but my plot summaries. God forbid. If I had a Disney logo emblazoned on my forehead, I'd be getting an 8.
Bitter man. Do you know that? You are just listen.
He is. He's starting the year off in an angry mood.
He is. I'm not attacking you, just attacking your total lack of ability. Okay.
All right then. Yeah. So, God, I love it here. Deej, I know you're fresh from the cinema. And I don't know if that's necessarily a plus. I've had a couple of days to digest now. A day, actually. And MP, when did you see this?
I saw this, I think, the day after Christmas. So it's been about a week now, I think.
All right. So you've had plenty of time to marinate. So...
or forget, whichever.
Or forget. Deej, let's go with you then. Fresh, hot off the press. What are your thoughts? What's your rating?
Well, yeah, you might be right that coming straight out of the cinema is not always the best thing, because I do think marinating with a film does help you appreciate it more, which my review of this film would need to take it to anything positive, because I thought this was so boring, so boring. And I love vampires and I love Dracula and I love that whole mythology, but I don't know, man. I liked Orlok, whatever his name is. Is it Orlok? Is that his name?
Orlok.
Orlok. I liked Orlok. I thought of a different take on the vampire. I found it profoundly disturbing that he was having these sex scenes and kind of being all sexual as vampires are, but looking the way he looked, I was like, that's a good contrast in the kind of this kind of lore that we see with vampires, because they're always fucking amazing looking things, etc. So I enjoyed Orlok. I was interested to see more of Orlok, and every time he was on the screen, I was captivated. But the rest of it, I was just so fucking bored, man. Oh god, Willem Dafoe just going around like jabbering about fucking shit, and Nicholas Hoult whinging away. I was just bored at those scenes. When the woman, I forget her name as well. What's her name? Helen. When she was on screen again, at times I was like, yeah, she's excellent. That scene where she's fucking, I don't know, like just absolutely losing her mind, shaking, then wants to have a violent orgasm, and then she's and I was like, this is excellent acting. So there were some really good performances, but just overall, I was just really fucking bored, man. Like I actually almost at one point fell asleep. Like I was like, Jesus, put my head on my missus' shoulder and was like, I'm gonna close my eyes now because there were just it dragged. I don't know how long this film was. I think you just said, but I don't think I was listening. So it was too long. It was too long, too much. Just I don't know, man. It was. I think one of you said it was a bit like Stoker's Dracula, but nowhere near as good, nowhere near as interesting, and I don't know. I don't know if ultimately I'm asking myself, did this film need to be made? Did this film do anything that justified its existence other than Bill Skarsgård being good and Helen being good? So I don't know, man. There were some artistic points to this where I was like, some good cinematography in there, some bits which were interesting, but I just for me, this is a miss. So, because of the performances and some of the good bits, I'll give it a 5, but I can't go any higher than that, I don't think.
Okay. MP, if you've been suitably reminded, refreshed.
Yeah. All right. Well,
give us your assessment.
I'm going to try my best here. It's been a week, so I'm going to, I guess, lead off with the positive. And this appeals to my movie geek side with the visuals and the craftsmanship that goes into this movie. I'm going to give this movie all the praise it deserves for that. I think Eggers does an amazing job with what he puts on the screen as far as how it looks. I love sort of the dread and the lack of color in scenes and the way he moves cameras around and everything like that. I love that stuff. And going into the castle when Nicholas Hoult first gets there, just the eeriness of that and the creepiness of Orlok and that booming voice that Skarsgård used. And he kind of is always off to the side, or you never really get a good look at him until you get to see him in all his glory. But I loved all that stuff. And even the build up to where Nicholas Hoult gets there, it feels some tension to it. But Deej is right. This is a boring ass movie. I was in the theater and I fell asleep on somebody's Mrs. shoulder at some point. But yeah, I did nod off about halfway into it for a little bit. It was a very quiet movie theater. You could hear a lot of people sighing the closer it got to the end, like we were just ready to end this movie. And it does one of those things where it just doesn't want to end. You know what I mean? It feels like we're rushing to the end, and then we'll take an offshoot to another story that gets wrapped up, like Aaron Taylor Johnson, his family, and he goes and fucks his dead wife. You're like, why do I need to just end the movie already? Performance wise, I didn't really like Lily Rose Depp in this. I think she does the possession thing great, and I'll give her 100% credit for that. But my God, she just goes on by the end of the movie, you're just like, just stop. Just stop doing that. Please. It's annoying at this point. And it felt like everybody was in like a play when they were acting throughout this whole movie. Like they were trying to act to someone at the back of the crowd instead of a natural performance. So yeah, it gets boring. It's dull. It drags on. It's really style over substance at this point. And I kind of feel like that with a lot of Robert Eggers stuff. Maybe he should let somebody else write the script and then he direct the movie. But I'm going to agree with Deej, and I'm going to go with a 5 simply for I will give it credit for the visuals and the atmosphere that the movie makes.
Right. I didn't get on with Northman, and I thought it was. I mean, I do think that was a victim of being falsely advertised. So whoever did the marketing, saying it was basically the Gladiator of Vikings and stuff, and you have that one good fight scene which was in all the trailers. I do feel I was a bit like, I feel like I've been robbed here. But the reason I didn't like it is because like so much of just nothing happens. So much of it is just like, let's just have a moody shot here for 10 minutes. And there's a lot of similarities in this one. I actually feel this film fares better with that because it is an atmospheric film. And I don't mind my horrors being a bit slow and sort of building up. I like a horror where you're really sort of getting into the environment of it, and you're sort of, that creepiness is allowed to build. So for the first part of the film, I was actually quite intrigued, and I thought the setup was really good, basically because I was watching Dracula. As I said, I got bored reading, or I'm listening to Dracula. There's a chapter with a lot of letters in it, and it's basically just I'm in this bit where there's these stupid women just talking to each other, and I'm like, get back to the fucking castle, right? Chapter 6. If you've read Dracula or you've heard it, like, I've got this Audible woman, and it's this woman doing a really crap northern accent. And I don't want to skip it. I can't skip it because I'm like, I might miss something, but it's driving me mad and I can't get past it. Anyway,
those bad
I just kept thinking, like, even the first 6 chapters of listening to it, I'm like, I'm really engaged in this story. I know I've stalled because it's away from the story, but the actual first bit, I don't know if it's just read really well or whatever, but it's really good. And there was glimpses of this, and it is literally shot for shot, isn't it? Really, him going out there because he's got to do it for Count Dracula. He wants it all signed off, and he's at the castle. But he's at the castle a lot longer. There's a lot more happening. There's a lot more, like, yeah, you must not go into this part of the castle for your own safety.
Yeah.
And you must not go here. And it's all like, ooh, why is that? What's going on? And he speaks to the Count a lot more, and the Count is actually quite eloquent. This obviously goes a different way, but I'm in that castle. I love the bit when he was in the castle and Orlok seemingly like moving really quick.
Yeah.
Or like he just, at one point, he's at his shoulder pouring a drink. He's like, drink. I thought, this is really good. This is really creepy as. Even like the carriage as it comes up to him and stuff. There's some really good bits in it. And then as soon as he sort of falls into the water, I'm like, that's done. That creepy part of the film where you're out in the woods, out, Eastern Europe, essentially, that's done. All the sort of the gypsies who were killing the vampires, what were they doing? Oh, no, we don't know. That's just done. And then I just feel like the film really stagnates for a bit. It's still really beautiful. I love the costume design. I thought the performances were amazing. Like, I'm looking at Aaron Taylor Johnson, and I'm like, I want those clothes. Like, whatever you're wearing, I want it. That looks fucking boss. And even what's his name's Thomas's jacket or his coat that he wears, I thought that was pretty cool. Don't think I could quite pull it off in London town, but but it really stalls. I also was drifting off at times. I don't know whether I was bored or whether I was just coming down from my sugar rush from my pick a mix. Right? It could have been either. But there was a bit when Thomas is like, oh, and I don't know what to do, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, mate, come on, like, get on with it. And there's a lot of that towards the end, like once he's made it back, and there's this plague and stuff, and it's all that back and forth. What are we gonna? And I was like, fucking, come on! It's like this fucking stuck on repeat. And ultimately, I was a bit disappointed. I felt more could have happened, but I do really respect. It's like I just appreciate what he's doing, but I can just accept it's not for me. And I'm sure if you love all the cinematography and everything, you are going to absolutely love this. The set design, the work that must have gone in, and to do that all for 50 million, I can't help but respect it. I am going to go higher than you guys, but on pure enjoyment, I don't want to watch this again. I might watch the first half. Do you know what I mean? If it was on in the background, I'd be like, oh, this was actually really well shot. I think it is an above average film. I can't watch it again. I'm going to go for a 6 and be slightly kinder. Season 5, new year, new me.
Do you know what's really interesting from what you two have just said? When you were saying some of those scenes, and I was like, oh yeah, actually, I did kind of like that scene. And there were all the beginning parts, like when he goes to that village and when he's at the castle. And I'd almost forgot them because the rest of it was so long and boring.
Yes.
Like, you're right. I actually did quite enjoy the beginning part. You kind of reminded me, like, I did quite like the beginning. And then it just got so long and so boring that I just have almost blanked those bits from my mind. So they really have got the pacing wrong with this film, haven't they? Really,
they have.
Really
I think there's that shot, and I think it's in the trailers, but it's the one where he's looking out across the valley into the village with Thomas. He's got his horse, and he's looking out across, and he sees the village, the Romani sort of gypsy village. and he's looking down, and like that is just like amazing. Like he's in this clearing, it's him from behind, like with that coat on, and like the trees and everything else. If there was more in that, like in the woods at the castle, if we saw more of that, I mean, basically, he should have done a Dracula remake, but Dracula doesn't sound as cool as Nosferatu. Do you know what I mean? For me, there is an element of this is like, oh yes, we could shoot it in this, but what if we did this way? It's a lot more. You might not get it, but do you know what I mean? It's got that kind of no, this isn't for you, darling. This is a bit more artistic. Whereas if he'd just done a fucking Dracula film, you know, it's a bit too well known. It's a bit too. But you could have. So I think so much of the story. More development at that castle, and then have him rushing back towards the end. Fuck, he's on a race against time. Orlok is on the ship going there, and then that last bit, you could almost have that as the finale, a 30, maybe 40-minute finale at the end. That's all like crash bang wallop. Thomas gets there. You've got Willem Dafoe's characters apparently based on the Van Helsing sort of character.
Yeah, but they all are. I mean, you can literally see who they are from Stoker's
Exactly.
Dracula.
Yeah.
Like everyone is a complete rip off in that. I mean, it even says at the end it's based on Stoker's Dracula, isn't it? I think on the credits. But yeah, you can see all that. But I don't know. Like Dracula, the original one, like this kind of, I know so much goes on there, doesn't it? Like you said, and then I mean, it's hard. I mean, like it's the same beats, but I don't know. I was just so bored by it. Like, it kind of felt like almost like. You've got this Orlok thing going on, and you don't see anywhere near enough of him. And then you've got this kind of buddy cop thing going on with these other three that isn't really funny. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, you know what's going to happen because it's literally following the same story as Dracula. Like, I don't know why they didn't just call it Dracula and make a Dracula remake because it literally is Dracula.
It's a more superior story. It's a superior story. Like the only reason they've put changes into Nosferatu was to avoid a copyright that didn't even work.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Why would you try and imitate the poor copy when you could just do? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get the rights either.
And the thing that it misses from a Dracula movie, where Orlok is basically he's more like a creature, a monster. He's not very charismatic. You know what I mean? You can have like a charismatic actor playing Dracula, and that would make the movie better because you would be invested in his character or some character in the movie. Whereas this, he's just basically a monster coming out to find the girl. Yeah, he's a creature more than a man.
Yeah, 100%. And that almost that loses that allure. The Dracula. I'm surprised as well because in sort of modern films, it's all about that sympathetic villain and all that kind of stuff. You'd think Dracula would be the original sympathetic villain who, you know, I just want to die.
As you mentioned, Hatch, though, the rinse and repeat after the castle stuff, where you're just kind of going over the same ground. That's where I got with her doing all the possession thing. At first, I thought, oh, this is a pretty cool idea, but after a second or third time, I was like, Christ, can we just move on with this shit?
There were some bits as well that were a bit like, I was like, oh, did you need to put that in? Like when she's like, oh, he's better than you to Thomas. Like, it's kind of, she's just been possessed and now you're going to fuck. Like, that's,
well,
I don't know, man. I don't know if you need to put that in the film. Or, I mean, yeah, like you said, MP, like, did we need Aaron Taylor Johnson's guy in a plague-induced insanity fucking his dead wife? Did we need that?
Especially when we're almost to the end of the movie.
Yeah, like that whole bit I felt was completely superfluous. Like, what are you doing? Like, I get it. Have that character. I thought he was actually quite a good character. The sort of the rich friend, the sort of dynamic person in there. He injects a little bit of life, and it was his wardrobe I was mostly jealous of. But then they don't do enough with him, but they do too much with him.
Yeah.
He's almost held in stasis where he's like, oh, what are we doing? Bloody Ellen, she's fucking tearing the place up. But then suddenly it's like, oh, but by the way, now it's you're the ones who are going to get fucked. Like, oh, right.
I will commend the movie for not holding back with the kids. When Vorlok takes care of the kids, I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I thought he was just going to like kind of like bite them and then drop them, and they were going to come back as like undead, like things or something. But no, he really did just eat the
No,
kids,
so
man.
so Orlok's vampire, he doesn't turn people. He just literally kills them.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
one of the
well,
things they did. Again, and then then when now that kind of confused me as well, actually, that bit, because Orlok's like, oh yeah, 3 nights. In 3 nights, I'm going to come to you again, and you're going to say like, no, actually, I want you. And so the first night, I forget who he kills, and then the second night is when he kills.
Now, first night he goes, he attacks the wife of the friend. I forgot his name now.
Oh, all
Aaron
right,
Taylor.
okay.
He attacks her
Yeah, all
when
right.
she's on the floor and he's attacked by rats and whatnot in the morning.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
she
That's right.
dies then?
No, she don't die, but that's when what he attacks the first night. Then the second night he comes
second night
back and kills her
does her in
and
with the
kills the
kids.
kids. And then
Yeah,
the
so
third
then
night,
so then
obviously.
so then suddenly, so they've gone from that. So they've literally got the funeral the next day with like all these personal coffins and stuff.
Was that again?
So literally in the space of a day, they're doing the whole funeral.
Oh yeah.
They've got,
That
like,
shit happens
perfect
real quick.
coffins.
Yeah.
That quick?
Little
Does it?
kid sized coffins. Yeah, no, that
They had
that
them
shit.
prepped and ready to go.
I mean, I know there was a plague going on, but like, how well stocked are these funeral parlors that they're like, yeah, when do you want it? In like 6 hours, please.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm just glad I wasn't alive in them times, man. Like when you've got like ready-made kids' coffins that you can just wheel out, that's when you know you're in a fucked up society.
I still thought that was fucking quick though. That was fucking quick. That they did that, and then the whole funeral bit. I was like, what are we doing here? We've not really spent that much time with the girls. We've not really spent that much time with the friend. The friend's kind of just been that sympathetic person to Ellen, but we don't know her, like, really, do we? Like, she's been a background character, and now suddenly there's a big whole thing about her funeral.
Yeah.
I know it's more about what's happening to Friedrich, I think, is Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. Like, it's more like what's happening to him. But we know he's fucked because he's got the plague. We know we've seen that he's got the plague.
Yes. And they
So
devote
yeah,
so
and then
much
the whole
time
thing
to
with
that
him.
at that point in the movie.
Yeah.
You're just like, come on.
I also thought going to Orlok's like lair was quite anticlimactic. And I know that was kind of the point, because that was almost like the decoy, wasn't it? It was just to get them away so Ellen could do the main part of the plan. But that whole final bit, I was like, oh, okay.
That's all we're
That's
gonna do.
that's
All
not
right.
that's not quite the belly into the beast, into the belly of the beast. I should say.
Right. They just walk into the room and set it on fire. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Oh my God, rats! Oh, yeah. That's.
And
the
I
final
also I
part.
felt like that Renfield guy, although he wasn't Renfield in it, but like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
obviously is Renfield.
Hair.
Like that,
Knock.
like
Scott.
I don't know if like
Knock.
I don't know what was the
Hair
purpose
knock.
of him. What was he like? Other than sending that guy there, like he was just a bit of a, I don't know. I don't really get. I just felt like it literally just was Dracula, but without the kind of, I don't know. I didn't find that guy particularly interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I was like, well, you're just obviously Renfield. You're a slave, but I don't know. He just kind of felt like he was there for the purpose, like to get Nicholas Hoult to Transylvania or wherever.
Yeah.
And then after that, he could have just not been in the film. I like his whole character just really didn't need to be there because he didn't like further any plot. He's just in a mental institution being mental, and then in a coffin get stabbed. Like he didn't bring anything to the table.
No.
That's how I kind of felt with all the characters.
He
they were just who they were, and that was it. There was nothing else.
That's the difference. Again, like I know in Dracula, it just I think it's like it just happens. Like the Count is genuinely looking at moving to London, and he just happens to come across whatever his name is, and then that's when he then finds out about his wife, and is like, that's when I think he then wants her or something, I think. But the estate agent had nothing to do with it. It was just purely like, I think he goes out there as a solicitor to sign all the papers and get it all done. And yeah, it just seems to happen. This one, you've got this strange, like, how did Hernock even know about him? How is he, like, at one point he's like this respectable guy in a estate agent, solicitors, whatever it is. The next he's some raving madman. How did this happen?
Yeah.
How did this come
They
about?
don't even bother with that. It's just look at the pretty pictures on the screen.
Yeah. And even Ellen's kind of whole thing about how they're connected, which was, it happens Because she's lonely and calls out, this guy answers. Is that
What
power
the
he
fuck?
has?
Yo, what the fuck, bro? I was literally like, that is the most flaky storytelling. She's just like, oh yeah, I was lonely, and somehow then he came and took me as his lover. Like, what? That's it? That's the explanation for real? Like there's not millions of people in the world who are going to be feeling lonely. Like, what the fuck? Like, there's just zero explanation on that part.
Yeah.
And no explanation as to why
weak.
this guy's turned up. This fucking horrible looking creature with the most gross flaky back I've ever seen in my life. So he's got his back had a Freddy Krueger face. Like, he's turned up and she's just been like, fucking what? Opened her legs and sopping. No way. Like, no way, bro. Like, this is not Gary Oldman looking all slick like a motherfucker. This guy is horrid looking. Like when he kissed her, I was like, oh.
That is gross, isn't it? That is gross. When she's then almost enjoying having sex with him as well, I was I was praying this was going to end soon. I was like, this does need to.
She was impressed by his wooden stake. He has a big wooden stake.
Oh man, yeah.
That's because he's got little legs. He skips his squats.
It makes it look bigger. I don't know. Like, I just find it bizarre, and I almost feel like this is going to get load of plaudits from critics and stuff like that. But I just feel like it looks amazing, and the performances are 100%. Like, when Robert Eggers is like, right, Nicholas Hoult, this is what I want you to do. Like, the actors are putting in 100% effort. Like, do you know what? There was a bit where Nicholas Hoult reminded me of Russell Crowe in Gladiator, because he does that bit where he's like kissing her, and then like there's a bit of like saliva that like stretches from where he's kissed her dead body to his lips and stuff, because he's like so emotional. I was like, he is giving it all. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ellen herself, like, she did all of that, all of the moves and the possession bits, no CGI or nothing. They are given 100%, and Bill Skarsgård, he's obviously put on. He just seems to. If you tell him, like, mate, I've got this wacky kind of thing I want you to do, he's like, nah, say no more, mate. Say no more. I'm going to hire some sort of guy who's going to be able to help me do this. Yeah, they're putting in decent performances. They are highly believable. The world they're in, I believe it. That is not a set. I'm watching another world. You know, I fully buy into it. And for 50 million, there's so much of this that really that I can praise. Cinematography, set design, costumes, the use of money and funds, the practical stuff that they did. But at the same time, like, have you almost phoned in the story? Is this a bit of a, and I hate to use this expression again, but Emperor's New Clothes? Do you know what I mean? You dress it up how you want, but ultimately it is a shit. It's not a shit story. I tell a lie. It's a bastardized story where you've actually kind of wasted the best elements of it and the best parts of what makes Dracula so good.
Yeah, for real.
How can you get around that?
For real. Like, even if you think about the very, very beginning of Dracula, right, Bram Stoker's, you get that whole backstory of Gary Oldman and that war and how he becomes what he becomes. And it's like such a good scene. In this, Orlok, it's like they've forgotten, right, that what makes this story interesting is the vampire. Yeah. That's what makes Dracula interesting. That's what would have made this film interesting. Orlok. I'm not interested in Nicholas Holt's character. That's one of the big problems. A lot of kind of, I think, stories that look at Dracula, Bram Stoker's thing, is they all focus, like, sometimes people focus too much on Harker. I think his name was Harker in Dracula. Yeah, but like, they focus on him, whereas like that's not what makes the story interesting. Like, what makes the story interesting is Dracula and his love of Mina and all those kind of bits. That's what grips you in, and you're just seeing it through the eyes of Harker. Whereas in this, we're watching Nicholas Holt's character and these people running around doing this fucking like Home Alone fucking thing to kind of try and get Dracula and kill him. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in that. Tell me more about Orlok. Tell me how it became Orlok. Don't just give me some rubbish little bit of backstory secondhand from Willem Dafoe saying like about fucking, I don't know how you know, he's a
Did
devil.
He even give anything?
Or someone did. Someone said something about
it was based.
He's a sorcerer. He's a sorcerer who like made some pact with the devil or something, whatever it was. And I'm just like, I don't want to hear that from you. Let me hear it from Orlok telling the story, or let me see it. Let me get more involved in the lore, the mythology of how Orlok has become Orlok. That I'm interested in. I'm not interested in just fucking this running around. Yeah, like you said, bastardized version of a story. Like I don't know. It just
I think as well,
flat.
Some interesting characters. Give us someone to invest our time in while we're sitting in that movie theater.
If I remember the Dracula bit correctly as well, he's always, when he's talking with Harker, when they're first chatting away, Harker's like, this guy's really interesting. He's really learned. Like, I want to know more. And then the Count's like dropping all these hints that suggest that he's like super old, or like he's from an old family and all this kind of stuff. And then I remember listening to the first bits again before I got to these stupid letters back and forth between these women. And I was like, oh, like you know, it's almost like it's on a hook. It's on a, like the Count's got like on a hook out, and he's like teasing Harker, waiting for the penny to drop for Harker to realize that there's something else going on here. And that kind of stuff was good, but obviously we don't get this. I thought we were going to get it at that dinner scene. I really enjoyed that dinner scene where he comes in and he's seemingly everywhere, and then he cuts himself, and then you see the Count's eyes light up, and I thought that was going to be like he's got to control himself and stuff, but no, then it's just straight up, yeah, I'm a vampire, innit?
Yeah. They don't leave much suspense in that, do they?
No. I will say as well, as horrors go, I thought that the scares were quite cheap. They're just all jump scares. There was some nice atmospheric.
Were there even jump
shadow
scares?
With a shadow? Well, yeah, there'd be a bit where, like, so for example, right at the beginning when Ellen is there, like she's out, and then suddenly, boom, he turns around and he's got that like bulging eyes and stuff. So there's a few little jump scares like that. But apart from that, there weren't anything. I quite enjoyed the shadow coming across, which is obviously a real ode to the Nosferatu from the original. Because I think they did a lot of shadows in that one.
They did.
But that one, I thought that worked really well again in the opening scene, because you've got his whole shadow there on the net curtain. But that's diminishing returns, after 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I saw someone say this was one of the scariest films. I mean, I don't know. They've probably done that review in 2025 and said scariest film of the year. I don't know. It wasn't scary.
No. I mean, like you said, a few of the jump scares work, but outside of that, it's just relying more on atmosphere. But even that doesn't really deliver by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Have you two seen the original Nosferatu?
I have, yeah.
Wow, mate. Oh, sorry, you probably went to the debut.
I was at the opening, yeah.
He knew it was coming.
I was there. Have you never seen it? It's I don't know how to explain it. It would be it is laughable to watch it now because it's a silent film and the things that I can imagine someone in 1922 watching that movie and being completely freaked out by it. There is one great scene that they didn't do here where the Orlok in that movie, he shows up to wherever, Germany or whatever, that with the boat, and he just grabs his coffin and he puts it on his shoulder, and he's walking through the town, like right through Main Street with his coffin on his shoulder to the house. But yeah, it's something to watch as far as like a history of movies to see what it was about. But
I can tell you now, I won't be watching that.
No way.
I can say that with all honesty. I watched Halloween, and I was a bit like, this thing's showing its age, so never mind something 50 years before that.
Yeah. You can broaden your mind a little bit. That way you can bring some reviews.
My mind is narrow. I know you would. That's partly why I said it.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much. I do hate you with the passion of 1,000 suns. And just to be clear, I do hope all the bad things in life happen to you and only you.
They made Alien like 2 years later, and what a film!
Suck me, try. Yeah,
there you go.
Shut up.
Superior franchise.
You won't disrespect the greatest horror film of all time. Not on my watch. Not on my watch.
I'm saying I like Alien.
Alien's not a horror film. I refuse to class that as a horror film.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
No one's going to hear you scream if you keep on going on about Halloween being shit. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you one thing. No. Listen. Two things won't happen, right? One thing that won't happen is I won't have you badmouthing Halloween, and two is that I will ever watch this film again because I won't.
Yeah,
I'll be clear about that.
I can't think of any of his films that I've ever rewatched.
No, you wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't, would you? I remember watching The Northman, like the fight scene again, because that bit was fucking epic when they're getting all like hyped up and stuff. But then
I could watch The Northman again. I think I could watch The Northman again.
You say that now, mate. You say that now. You're remembering it with fonder ears and eyes.
Maybe. I liked
there's so much boredom.
I like that stuff. I like all that stuff.
Wasn't that a Skarsgård in that movie too?
Oh yeah,
that was
the one from True Blood. I forget his name though. Alexander, is it? Alexander Skarsgård?
Yeah, I think right. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I want more of them deep voices. You know, I want Bill Skarsgård doing more deep voices. I want more Sardaukar doing deep voices. Where else? There was another one recently. I can't remember where. There was another one. There was definitely someone else doing that kind of.
I want to meet a Mongolian throat singer and just have them just everywhere I'm going around. When I'm going to a room, they're just like.
Oh, it's going to drive me mad now that I can't remember that. But c'est la vie. So, in terms of ratings, then, anyone different?
I'll stick at a 5. I mean, I feel like if you're into, I think, like you said, if you're into like kind of your cinematography and you like Dracula, you know, it's not like a dreadful film to watch. And that you are right; those beginning parts were pretty good. Just the pacing all wrong, and it got boring as fuck. So yeah, it's not a shit film. I wouldn't say it's a shit film. I would just say it's just not really for me. So I'll stick with a 5.
I'm gonna stick with, as much as it pains me to say it, because this is kind of like a movie that we always want. You want a director that has a vision and puts it up on the screen, and instead of just something that's copy and paste and slapped together. And he does a great job with all that stuff. But yeah, there's just nothing outside of the visuals that I thought was that great. So I'm going to stick with a 5.
I'm still going to stick with a 6. I do think it deserves some love for the pure love that went into it. And the look of this movie is great. If you are a cinema buff, you are going to absolutely peak off this, I think. If you can forgive the somewhat weak story, and that first half in particular had me enthralled, really had me engaged. I almost wish I could go back to before I knew what the film was, and I watched that first half. He falls into the river, and then like the screen goes blank, and the guy behind the projector is like, "Oh, sorry guys, like, let me just tell you what happens at the end, because that's going to be, we've ruined our only copy of it." And then actually, I prefer this story. He's like, I'm a big fan of Dracula. You know what I mean? So I'm going to stay with a 6. That first half is really good, and I always got to appreciate the love and effort that they've put in. So what does that give us then? 2 5s and a 6. First one of the year.
That sounds like a 5.75 to me, but let me just check here.
Oh, of course, you got to check it, especially now that we've revamped the.
Yeah.
Just
it's a 5.3.
Oh,
5.3.
Okay, 5.3, pretty low.
But I don't know, right, hang on. Wait, did you say 5 and 2 6s or 2 5s and a 6?
No. 2 5s and a 6. You've really got to try and listen when you're other.
Yeah, 5.3.
Yeah, 5.3. Okay, what do you think Rotten Tomatoes is saying?
I'm gonna think critics. I don't know. I feel like critics are going to think, do you know what? This is I think not too far from what I reckon. 60 on the critics and audience 70.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the critics, they're going to eat this movie up. I'm going to go high with critics, 91 with critics. And the audience is the tough one. I don't know what someone's going to think walking out of the theater. There'll be excitement going in, but oh, my Lord, coming out. Let's go 80 for audience.
85 for critics. You were correct there, MP, because they were going to go a bit higher. and then 75 for audience. And that's 5,000 plus verified ratings. Maybe there's an element that you go and see this if you are a film buff and you know you're going to like it. I wonder.
Or you don't want to be the person that says you don't like it because
Well,
everybody else
do you know
is.
what? I do wonder. Yeah, because then people turn around and they say, "Oh, you're obviously not. You didn't.
Right.
You missed the point.
You
of
didn't
the,
get it. It's not for you."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the critics' consensus, here you go, this is the little synopsis bit. Marvelously orchestrated by director Robert Eggers, Nosferatu is a behemoth of a horror film that is equal parts repulsive and seductive. That tells you what
What's
you need to
repulsive
know.
about it?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
repulsive? I mean, mate, apart
What's
from the fact
seductive?
he's fucking hanging and he's getting on top of her. But I feel like that's not really fair, is it? Because like, what if like there's a film about like a Burns victim
we go.
having sex with someone? You know, you can't just say
I thought I was shaping up for a dig there.
No. You're seeing enemies where there are none, my friend. You're seeing ghosts.
Very good.
I'm just saying you can't say it's repulsive just because he's a bit gross. Like, I mean, I don't feel like this was a repulsive film. I don't know. It's just a bit of a nothing film for me with some good performances in it. A wasted film, can I say? Because I feel like some of these performances deserved better. And do you know what? Some part of me thinks maybe there's a better film in there and it was left on the editing table floor.
Well, he's supposed to be releasing like a 3-hour cut, so.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
No, that needs to die a death. That needs to see the sunlight and be burned.
No, I wish he would release
direct cut bollocks.
I wish they would just release a cut that was just Orlok. Just Orlok, and that's it. And then I'll watch that.
All right, well, that was Nosferatu. A 5.3 from the Just Go Watch. The only review, people, you need to listen to for the best debates, the best takes, the hottest takes. But of course, if you disagree, please feel free to drop off a message, tweet us, email us, do all that good stuff. You'll find the details of how to on our various Instagram, Twitters, YouTube page, all of that. However, there is only one way that you're going to know what you think of Nosferatu, and that is
just go watch.